Hi, welcome to Mini Medi. I do short meditations to hold the space for peace and prosperity and abundance and joy and love, all the things that our hearts desire when we are honest and truthful with ourselves. That's what we all want. There are many people in the world that are not in touch with their heart, and they are running around saying all kinds of things right now, and it's the year 2020 and everything is very uncertain, and the energy of the world is definitely in a fighting, agitated mode. And it's really hard to be anchored in truth and anchored in our true spirit. So I just want to say some thoughts that I have and maybe do a short meditation on peace, and definitely encourage people to pray and take positive action. So I do not just sit around and pray, although that's a beautiful thing, and prayers do work, I believe it. I also believe in the power of action and unified action. And I really wish our government would, and just the people in charge, who I feel a lot of them are trying to just be in control of us, and we have to remember we are empowered and stand in our power, but in a positive way, not in a destructive manner. I'm sure those of you with high intelligence and common sense, because they're not the same thing always, you know when you hear people talk who is sincere and who is a predator, is what I definitely define them as. I do have many concerns for India and Russia right now, because I've heard in August they're going to have a vaccine for the COVID-19, and that seems so hurried that it has me very concerned about what's going on there, and I'm worried about their safety. I'm concerned about their safety. And then, I'm not a big fan of conspiracies, and some of the things I've heard are so out there, but I don't trust everybody, especially I'm not going to just be spoon-fed information without knowing the how valid it is. And I would like to really check that, because there's some information I'm just not going to believe what I hear. And we're all here to share our gifts, and one of my gifts has been always good intuition. That is what I do have. I have good intuition and good common sense, and I put a lot of energy into good health, my health, and keeping myself safe, because no one else has kept me safe except for me. I am 100% responsible for all my problems, all my health conditions, all my mental health problems. I am basically, I'm not going to point the finger at other people. It is what it is. But I am empowered, and I have the ability to talk to people about my problems, reach out to people, ask people for help when I need it. And I definitely can see people who try to exert power over others or come at people in a destructive way, or hypocrites. Their words and actions don't match. I don't trust those people. I believe in the right to life. I believe the right to life for everybody, really. And any criminal should face consequences, and we should all face consequences. And some people are out there being very destructive toward property and other people, and they should all be held accountable. That much I believe. I believe, yes, I don't believe in defunding the police. We need our police, and there's mostly good police. The police that are criminals, basically, yes, they need to be held accountable. The protesters, I believe, are all peaceful. It's the people who have infiltrated the protest that are criminals and need to have consequences. The intimidators also need to stop. The threats, the bullies, they need to be put in and checked and put in their place. And I don't mean put in their place as a revengeful thing, but they cannot overpower the good. And I just believe good always will win in the end. And it's the spirit of cooperation that is the beautiful way to live. And that would just be a beautiful way for everybody, but not everyone's going to do that. But some people just want to win, and they don't care who they step on or who gets hurt. But there is a lot of carnage going on, and I'm concerned that the President of the United States, who I've not ever defended him, I've just always thought he should do what he does, which is hotels, making money, whatever he wants to do. I've never thought he should belonged in any kind of politics, but my vote obviously didn't matter in that particular election. But it is what it is. Like I said, he is now the president, and yes, I'm quite often embarrassed about that. And it's interesting how people, I'm not a far left, I'm not a far right, I'm not a Democrat, and I'm not a Republican. Actually, what I end up being pretty much is for the environment, because years ago, I've always had a heart for the Native Americans, and my great-grandmother's Native American, Grandma Goldie, and I would listen to her talk about the reservation and that she lived on, and her heart was totally in it. And I just always felt bad, even as a young girl, when she would tell me stories. And she obviously was pretty impressive when she was there, a medicine woman, but at the age I was at, I didn't appreciate her as much as I do now. So I think I've learned so much of valuable things in life, and relationships are everything. And relationships are what we need to value more than money. A lot of people, I hear, I'm going to vote for Trump because he made me $20,000 in the stock market. I kind of think they would have maybe made the $20,000 in the stock market whether he was president or not. But it's irrelevant to me. It's just like, well, I guess people have blind spots. So human nature and psychology, people that are going to vote for Trump are going to vote for Trump. I don't argue with people about who they're going to vote for. You vote for who you want to vote for. I just know I always vote for the environment, because I like what the Native American people said. Well, at least I know one of the nations and the Native Americans said that when they make a decision, they don't just think of themselves, they think of the next 7 generations after them. And that's really what I think we need to do, is always, once you get to be a certain age, so when you're 30, you should be thinking of like that. To be honest with you, you should be thinking, what am I doing? I'm talking about the simplest thing, from recycling and onward. If I throw this plastic out, what's the world going to be like 7 generations from now? If I do it, I teach the next generation, and 7 generations doing this activity. So it is about being a positive role model for younger generations, and teaching and education, and being careful of what we're teaching and how we're educating. I've had a lot of incidences, a lot of things happen, and I won't get too far into them, but I've had race, like people throw white girl, you're white. I've had basically racist comments to me, and one was, I remember being struck because one was a young girl, as I was driving, started yelling to her friends about that white woman, and I thought, wow, but that hate was nothing I did. I just drove by. And I knew she must be getting this at home, that hate. So I'm opposed to hate. I could not ever, I just was not brought up to hate anybody. I actually was blessed as far as that part goes, as respecting other cultures and being exposed to other cultures, and having mixed races in my family was a beautiful way to grow up. It kept my mind open. So I've always been culturally sensitive. However, I did notice when I worked at a treatment center that the cultures are attracted to each other. The African Americans would sit with the African American for the most part, and the Caucasians would sit at a table together. I think that people are just comfortable with their own culture, because their own nationality, so to speak, because they're just more exposed to that and more comfortable, and it's more relatable. That's probably why, unless you're brought up in different unless you're brought up different, but that does happen, and it doesn't even always mean anything. People like to make things mean stuff that they don't necessarily mean, but people are afraid of what they don't know. So I definitely think that we should encourage everybody to socialize with everybody. And God, there's so many interesting things on TV now, and the African American guy who's changed the KKK members, not all of them, of course, but a couple hundred of them have been changed just because of talking. A black man decided he's going to talk to them, and then they liked him, and they're like, oh wow, so the things that they thought were true turned out to not be true. Those to me are the people of the evolution of mind, because they get new information and change, and they get a heart, and stop being so cold. People reject what they don't know or understand, and when you make assumptions about people, it's terrible. I love American as being I can, I can, and it's my most of my life. I'll just give you a little version of that. I'm 5'2", and I had an older brother, so I heard that I can't a lot. And you can't because you're a girl. You can't because you're too young. And then when I got to be the same age as my brother, you can't just because you're a girl. You can't be first base because you're left-handed. You can't have that position that you want. You're too short. And you're too young. And then I'm 23 and telling people how I'm in love, I'm gonna get married. You can't. You're too young. You don't even know what love is. And then when I'm 25, other people were like, "You're 25 and you want to have a baby. You're getting old." Like you're getting too old to have a baby at 25. By the time I was 25, I already had my first child. And now you're talking about. I'm like, wow. how old was I? 23, and I was too young, and I'm 25 and too old. So, ageism. I went for jobs. Sexism. You can't unload trucks. Go in there and be a secretary. Yes, it was a gentleman who said that. You're too little, you know. So, being judged by your appearance is never fun. And I know that is a mild case compared to what some people are going through. So I don't want to sound like my case is worse, but it exists on other levels. You know, I've had people that do not know me, never had a conversation. You know, I'd rather have people talk and talk to each other than all this attacking. The attacking is just not spiritual. It's not good. It's not good for anybody. But people want to keep their hate alive, I guess. It's the status quo. I like to challenge the status quo and even challenge myself. And I love positive change. That's it. Positive change is all that I desire. And you know, sometimes people, they just want to fight, and you need to move away from them and just pray for them and go toward people who are caring. And I know at times it might be very few people that seem to care, especially now. You know, we're in this terrible state, and people are almost don't know what to do with it. It's like people are still processing it, I think. You know, I just happen to have had a lot of uncertainty, so I've got a lot of practice with that vibe, but I understand how scary it is. I do want to express, you know, my concerns about some of these. They're men in power right now in Russia and even the United States, of course, and yikes, it's kind of alarming to me because I have to almost be careful what I say, but definitely want to question things. And I don't know, I think my concern is it's at the end of July 2020, and I wonder in the year 2022, you know, at the end of July in 2022, really, how many people are going to be here? And what's the condition of the people going to be like? I feel like we're being kind of infiltrated by these people who want to have power over us and want to dominate the countries just to win some shallow prize. It's like very weird and unsettling. So I do think it's odd that there hasn't been more of a rising, and I'm not encouraging we throw the government over, because there's good people in there. I believe in my heart, I do. There's good people in charge. I think everyone might be a little afraid or intimidated, and I understand that too, because there are people who basically can have you killed and wiped out, but and cover it up very easily. And people apparently just believe shit, so I don't even cuss much, but it's true. I'm frustrated, and it's amazing what people are believing right now. I'm sorry. It's almost like it's scary and comical at the same time. I'm like, oh my God. But I know my whole life, when I've heard people say the truth, I've recognized it as the truth. And it's really it's not that it's really never complicated when it's like simple. Like even saying, you know, what is the purpose of life? It's a big question. And who am I? Those are questions that I would really ask myself as a very young girl, I remember. asking myself, well, who am I? It just seems so wild to me that I was a person and I had a body. But I've got the answers, and it wasn't like profound. And I went on this great spiritual quest to find out who I am and what is my purpose. And the answer was love. That's the answer. I hate to break the news. You are love, and that is your purpose, to love. It's very simple. When people start complicating things and causing chaos and everything else, they're trying to have power. That's it. And it's not a good power, because we know there's, even love. When I'm talking about love, I'm talking about that pure, beautiful love, that I love you and would give my life for you, and I just adore you kind of love. That's the innocent, beautiful love. Like, you can see a puppy and just be like, I love you, or a baby, or just beauty around you, that's love. I'm not talking about romantic love and all that, because that isn't the same. I'm talking about, romantic love can be true love, but I'm not talking about I'm just talking about the energy of pure love. So you can have pure love for your mother, for your spouse, for your wife, for your girlfriend, for your child, for a baby, for a puppy, for a flower, for the ocean, for Mother Earth, even for the love of a culture or a tradition. And yeah, you can even love the energy of money for all the good that you can bring to the world, all the beauty that you can bring to the world. That's there's good ways to look at that. It's I love power, like I love empowerment, to feel empowered and stand in my power and know that I am able to create change. That's what I want to talk about. We need to, because we are empowered, and we cannot let people just toss us aside and dismiss us. I'm very, very upset. I am. I just trying everything to not start crying here. So I'm very upset that it just seems like our president, the president of the United States, who was voted into office, it's like he's dismissing all the people who are dying from the COVID. And it's over 150,000 people now. And he comes on and he's talking about drilling and making money for the oil companies. He's just talking about stuff. And I know there's a lot of people who want him to win. And it's almost like they are dismissing that too and saying odd things like it's the survival of the fittest. Where did all the hearts go? Where compassion? And these are people who are mothers and fathers, and I don't understand, and I don't need to understand. I don't even want to try to understand. But I'm getting in my freaking car, unless okay, I don't want to sound paranoid. But I'm getting in my car. I want people to actually meet me down at the White House. I want everyone who has lost someone to get me a picture of their loved one that has passed away, probably by themselves in a hospital with COVID. Pictures. I want them plastered all over the White House. I want everyone there to hold up pictures of the people that they have lost because of the inaction of this president. Donald Trump, I'm personally annoyed that he's calling it the China virus. I have no control over that. I think it is bullying, rude, his way of not owning any kind of responsibility. But the truth is, because I believe in taking 100% responsibility, I do not respect the man because of that. And I'm sure there's a lot more why I don't respect the man. Respect means having a high regard for someone. I have no high regard for someone who cannot apologize. And that's everybody. Anybody who cannot say, I screwed up, to me, is kind of crazy. Okay, in a bad way. Because there's a good kind of crazy and a bad kind of crazy. And there's a good kind of trouble, Mr. Lewis. Good trouble. And then there's a bad trouble. So we want to stay away from bad trouble. And we don't want to back down from bad trouble. You know, you got to face the fear and be a freaking lion. Because you're going to get pushed over. Because you're already getting pushed down. I don't want people to forget. This man's responsible for hurting children. Children are in freaking cages, being held still, and no one's talking about that. And I think the media, some of the media, not all of them, again, needs to be more responsible and not just be about the money shot. Okay? Everyone needs to do the right thing. Everybody. So I think the right thing to do is to put human faces on all the people that have passed away. 150,000 isn't something to shrug off like, man, well, they were this or they were that. They were sick, they were old, they were that. I'm like, like, what is going on here? We need a president that cares. I feel like these presidents are killing. I do. And I don't know if they're killing on purpose. But they're killing. They're killing. Let's be for real. Because even if it came from China or whatever, because I have no idea. There's so much crazy. But I don't know. As far as I understand, there's a virus here. It started in China through something with a bat and came to humans. Now humans have it. It's very contagious. Fine, call it whatever you want, but the fact is he's not doing anything about it. He has made some effort to get ventilators, but he don't get the credit for that because a lot of people were dying, and other people made him do it basically. And governors, like the governor of New York, and even Chicago, and don't even get me started on the Florida people, but a lot of the back to the Florida thing, because I don't want that to sound too harsh either, because you know what, I feel like, people like really act up and act just evil, like, I don't want to say evil either, but just like, acting all like, and then people suffer. Watch out when people are getting cocky around you, because that's when bad things happen. And you know that. When people get cocky, it's not good what's about to happen. And I think there's a lot of bad stuff about to happen. And I think it's up to us to kind of make this change as a people, and not in a destructive way, in a hurtful way. It's like Mother Teresa said, I'm not gonna do a march against, she wanted to do a march for peace, but not against war. And that makes sense to me. That's just how my brain works. I understand that she's a beautiful heart, and she is for peace and beauty and making things good and righteous. And she didn't want to be against, because that's a whole nother energy. And I agree. It's like I've said this before. I believe in animal rights, but if I see somebody wearing a fur coat, I'm not going to go throw paint on this woman's coat or man's coat. Men wear fur too. I'm not going to go through for and start yelling crazy. How could you kill all that and preaching and imposing my view onto this person who spent her money, they spent their money, whatever. So basically, in that case, I would now be the criminal because I destroyed her property. Okay, so I'm not about destroying things to get my way or get my viewpoint, because people that are running around screaming like crazy, knocking masks over and all that, to me, something's wrong with them, okay? And I almost feel like our president's, like the way he's been talking, like who's he gonna be today? I almost feel like he needs to see someone, a professional. Maybe he has a diagnosis that is not treated, or he forgot to take his meds today. I'm not real sure what's going on there. I really wish the man would just stick to what he does best, but now I feel like he's got this whole new platform that people voted him into, and his power has like gone to his head, and now he knows these other presidents, and I feel like their heads are together because it's very secretive, and I feel like if the president's not being transparent and he's not talking about all the people that have died, because a lot of them did die because of him, because he wants to keep pushing it off and creating this freaking delusion, and some people are buying it because now they hate China or Chinese people. I have a friend of mine who's Chinese, and I talk to him once a week and ask him, how are you? Are people being okay to you? Because there's some people that's what they're doing. So, and it's just dehumanizing to everybody as a whole. It's bad for everybody, okay, because that's penetrating our energy and our environment. So environment is important. I've always been for nature, and the earth is gonna die. We're doing bad things, yes. We do have needs that we should think more of working with things instead of against things. That's my point. Work with in a spirit of cooperation and not against things. So if you have the chance, like, create butterfly gardens in your yard. But there's so much that we need to do right now, as far as, I'm serious about that. If everyone could just get their loved ones' pictures together, and we will convene on the White House and hold up them pictures and say their names. Look at how, the other people said their names. You say their names, say their names. They're real people. And because of his wasting time, focusing on the wrong things, behaving like a child, I would say a good 100,000 people and gaining have passed away that didn't need to. And I can't even talk about it because I'll just die, like, pain. Because all the, not just the people who passed, but all the pain in the wake of the people, their loved ones. And now they have to, and I know they suffer. They suffer at the loss. They suffer because they know, in a lot of cases, it didn't have to be that way. So as he's blaming other people instead of using his energy to fix it, you have to be one of the people who's in the solution and not living and inciting problems. And that's what he does. So I've honestly never wanted him in there, because that, like I said, my intuition said, oh my God. I mean, I kind of thought America's gone to pot. When that happened, I literally said America's gone to pot. They legalized marijuana. we have Trump as the president of reality star and all this other weird. I'm like, okay, so I'll just deal with it, and that's what we do. But now it is so wow. I mean, I guess I just felt like we just keep selling our soul to the devil where he's concerned, and now it's playing out. So don't sell your soul to the devil and make money more important than relationships. And now people are sending their children to school not knowing. And it's like interesting because I remember when I taught a class saying, wow, we should be grateful for having clean water, because can you imagine living in an undeveloped country and, having your little baby and the only water you can give it is contaminated, and yet they'll die without water. Oh, I'm going to just die crying. They'll die without water, or they'll get sick from the contaminated water. What's a woman to do? What's a woman to do? And I always thought that was the saddest thing. And now I'm watching people in the United States saying things like, I have to work, I have to send my child to school, even though I know the dangers. And that to me is like heart-wrenching. So it's time that we as a people think of other solutions. She said in her case, she loves her career, and I don't know, it gratifies her. I don't know, I think I'd have to still choose the life over my child and figure out how to live with relatives for a while if I were her. I don't know, we have to come up with some solutions to this for a while for the children, to keep them safe and to get them educated. But I believe there's solutions. And if parents want to get back to work and they can do that in a healthy, safe way, absolutely. Absolutely, I am for that. I don't, this woman, I'm not real sure what she particularly did. I know she was an essential worker, but I'm not sure what that meant. So, she might have worked at a grocery store, which is essential, but for some reason I think that's what she said. And she's a woman on her own, a single mom. Of course she has to so I understand that. I mean, everyone can understand that. So what's that woman to do? But maybe we need to start thinking about other options for children too, like a different type of school system, or have that school system, but then add something else in areas that you can, or when summer is in the Midwest, something outside for a handful of children to keep, to implement, like to supplement education. So I don't know. I'm just talking and coming up with some ideas. But the thing is, I totally believe there's 10 solutions to every problem. But I do want to get back to the vaccinations, which are scary to me, that Russia and the people actually living there said that they are willing to take this vaccine that's coming out in August. It just seems like, wow, that happened pretty quick without all these trials and safety measures. And I'm scared all these vaccines are going to be harmful. I mean, I don't want to sound like a pessimist, because I'm actually pretty optimistic about things, but I also know speedy vaccines sound very scary, and I trust that feeling because it's a vibe. And like I said, I'm pretty good with my intuition. I just don't trust it, and we all know, especially if you are older than 20, probably even younger people know, because I grew up pretty fast with a lot of life experiences before 17 that most people shouldn't even be exposed to at that age. And the young ages I was. However, it's all part of my own growth and development, so I'm grateful at the lessons that were taught, not necessarily for the experiences, but I definitely feel I'm pretty person. I have a lot of depth because of my experiences. But I know, as many of you know, when you operate from a place of desperation, it doesn't usually yield good results, right? In most cases. So let's say if you're desperate for money, odd things might start happening. Sometimes it's not even like if you're just desperate for money, all of a sudden an opportunity appears, and it's a terrible opportunity, but you do things you wouldn't normally do, and or you agree to things you wouldn't normally agree to because you're coming from a place of desperation. And that energy just attracts that energy, and that's just the way it is because it's a powerful energy. Or fear. That's why you have to be careful when people, like, I call them predators. So when they prey, P-R-E-Y, on you and your emotions, I always think you got to be careful. You know, so if someone's just telling you just like this, they'll spin stories into making it like you have to have this. Yeah, magazines do it to you all the time. This will make your life better. In this case, vaccine will give you life. But all the safeguards weren't put in place. It's the common sense. And the common sense with everything, you have to think about things in a more expansive way. Like even the makeup you wear. Did they test this on animals? Did people die to make this? Like, did animals die to make this makeup? You know, so maybe you want to be more conscious of the makeup you buy, the food you put in your body. You know, everything. Question everything where it came from. Be as pure as you can in what you put in your body, on your face, what you wear. Just be as pure as you can. No one's a freaking perfectionist. And there's going to be people that want to fight you and people want to fight me. And I don't need to explain myself to anybody. This is how I've come to be. I'm not going to fight. I don't fight with people. I'm passionate, but I'm okay with being... Like, you're okay, I'm okay. You're where you're at, and you have your lessons to learn. I'm where I'm at. I have my lessons to learn. This is just what I do, and I'm just warning people because, and you all know that if you've had that happen where you act out of desperation for a partner, for money, for a job, and you all know the truth is, when you are coming from a place of desperation or fear, you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And then you're like, wow, I cannot do things out of desperation again because you see the results of that. That's my point. So I'm concerned. That's why I'm very concerned about the people in Russia and their health. I mean, they're already in a bad way. And India, I guess they're going to be rolling out this vaccine in August, and people are going to be lining up and taking it, and I'm just, you know, I think that's just ask for everything to be okay, and trust that it will be. So that's what I'm going to put out there right here and now. I ask for everything to be okay, work out, and for the good energies to come in and to heal the world, the mind, the soul, the spirit. And we all know, when I say spirit, I mean we all have a vibe, right? And we all have We can all project a good spirit or a more negative spirit or a drunk spirit. That's why they call it spirits. If I drink a bunch of alcohol, that spirit's going to take over my spirit. I don't want that, because then I'll be some fallen down drunkard and not making much sense when I talk. And I only will make, like, even now, some people will hate what I'm saying. And because they're haters. I'm so glad that I love me, because I don't need people to adore me or love me, or, I'm used to marching to my own drummer. I'm used to being, pushed aside, I suppose is the way to say it. I don't know, but I do feel like I definitely have a passion for giving a voice to the voiceless, to animals, to babies, to children, to people who are abused, wives, even a man I met who was very abused, emotionally abused, but, you try, you do what you can to assist people. So assisting change, making change, creating change, that's what we can do. And that's what people are doing. Oh my God. In so many ways, I'm so grateful to be an American, because there are so many people who have been making me proud to be an American. It's not the president, but a lot of people. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. They are inspiring. I swear, I wish I had a list. Anthony Cuomo is one. All the ladies on The View. Always Oprah. Princess Diana's children. I love them. And their spouses. So, anyone who's speaking honestly, Michael Phelps, who's saying publicly of mental health problems, there's a lot of people speaking out for mental health, then taking away the stigma, slowly but surely. The Me Too movement, which is very empowering, and women are beautiful. All the changes that are going on, that transgender, gay men who can now adopt children. Some changes still need to be made, as far as, gay men can't give blood. Why? So there's still changes that we need. Same with women. But women can do anything men can do. Women can play all kinds of sports. We can have our own football team if we want. So it's important. Just rise up. I'm proud to be an American, because that's what we do. We rise up, and do not let people with authority exert that onto us in a destructive way. Do not sit back and take it. So yes, I think we need to give names and faces at the White House so that they see. If you do not stop caring about just your freaking self, more people are going to freaking keep dying, and it's already so out of freaking control and unacceptable. Do not accept the unacceptable. Nobody should sit back. And I know you're freaking depressed, but it's time to get mad. It's time to get mad, and it's time to create change. And we cannot, as a society of people, be dehumanized and just pushed aside like it doesn't matter. Every life matters, and every life that has been lost has created pain. There's over 150,000 people who have died from the coronavirus. Like I said, so many of them could have been spared. Yes, I believe that people need to take responsibility, wear a mask, keep distance. People need to stop their socializing, and the children that are getting together and having parties, we've been there. We know, we thought we were invincible, and it's, there's still no excuse. Hopefully they all will all learn their lessons and stop those behaviors as well. I could talk endlessly about this, but I'm serious. I'm trying to think of a good date. I'd have to look at my calendar. But I'm serious. I'm thinking at the end of September or the beginning of October. Maybe I should just pick a date. What do you think? Should it be a weekend or a weekday? When would the president most likely to be at the White House? I don't even know. Let's see. He plays golf. What days does he play golf? That was 2 days ago. And September, October 1st. I'm just going to pick a day. October 1st, we all need to show up at the White House with these pictures. Everybody. That's 150,000 pictures. Well, by then, it'll be 250,000 or more, probably. Because he's not going to help. And it's spreading. Unless the people do change, which they seem to not be, because it wasn't started off on a good foot, I guess is a good way to put it. So the fact that it wasn't put out there in a proper way has caused a lot of confusion and problems. So unfortunately, the great minds were not meeting and making a good plan. I like to have a plan A, B, and C when I make plans, but unfortunately, I'm watching people and they're not they're not being responsible, and it's a very challenging time. And I just pray for each other, and even your perceived enemies, pray for them too. And just ask, whoever you pray to, well, unless you're praying to evil spirits, maybe not, but, whatever, because I always believe that, in the end, the light always wins, the good, the spirit, the fruit of the spirit always wins, and that is love and acceptance, peace, joy, harmony, and justice will prevail, and truth. And again, I'm proud to be an American because of all the love that I've seen over the last couple months, and it has done my heart good. But I'll see you at the White House. And please please text me at minimedi333@gmail.com, and we can arrange our White House demonstration. It'll be a peaceful demonstration with honor for our loved ones that have lost, and just to put names and faces onto those lives that are meaningful and precious. It's the only way to make it real for people who are basically putting their heads in the sand and refusing to see reality. And I will see you at the White House, minimedi333 and I will talk to you real soon. You just be kind to the people that come across your path today. Bye.